Welcome back to EWTN News In Depth. The suspense is over. We have a Supreme Court nominee.
I must begin these very brief remarks by thanking God for delivering me to this point in my professional journey. My life has been blessed beyond measure, and I do know that one can only come this far by faith.
President Biden introduced Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson at the White House Friday afternoon. The 51-year-old Jackson grew up in Miami, Florida, graduated from Harvard College, and went on to Harvard Law School, where she was the supervising editor of the Harvard Law Review. She clerked for Justice Stephen Breyer at the Supreme Court and, if confirmed by the Senate, will now replace her mentor. Jackson would diversify the court's legal experience because of her early criminal work as a federal public defender. On the bench, she served 8 years on the federal district court in D.C. before being elevated last year to the powerful U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. Amy Howe, longtime reporter for SCOTUS Blog, joins us now to discuss the impact this nominee could have on the court. Amy, it's great to have you with us. Judge Jackson clerked for Justice Breyer. Can we expect a similar judicial philosophy?
I think she is likely to have a similar judicial philosophy, at least in the way that she votes, in the sense that replacing Justice Breyer with a Justice Jackson is not likely to change many of the outcomes of the court's cases. You know, she'll bring a different perspective. She's the first justice in a long time to have had a significant criminal defense experience, and she would be the first justice ever to have been a federal public defender. So when their justices are on the bench and in their deliberations, she'll bring a different perspective than Justice Breyer, certainly. And as the first Black female justice, she would also bring a different perspective.
Discussing the public defender record that she has, what issues does the court actually look at that affect that would bring that perspective with her, that would allow for that to shine through?
The Supreme Court has, a pretty steady docket of cases involving, bread and butter criminal law cases, sentencing cases, and the justices just don't have someone right now who has tried those cases from the criminal defense perspective. Justice Sonia Sotomayor was a district judge, and she was a prosecutor. Justice Samuel Alito was also a prosecutor, but they haven't had for a long time a criminal defense attorney looking at the cases from that side, from that angle.
Would that also affect the death penalty cases?
It might affect the death penalty cases. She was a federal public defender in the District of Columbia, so she's not actually likely to have worked on any death penalty cases, but also not likely to change the outcome. But again, she would probably bring a different perspective. Many of the death penalty cases don't necessarily deal with issues directly related to the death penalty, but are coming to the Supreme Court because of some criminal law angle that the death row inmate is trying to raise at the Supreme Court. So in that sense, it might also affect the cases.
Amy, then what's next in the process? What can we expect from her confirmation hearings?
So right now, after the official announcement, then currently Judge Jackson will start meeting with senators. There are courtesy calls to senators, probably trying to meet with as many as possible, in particular the senators who are on the Senate Judiciary Committee, trying to talk with them to hear their concerns and discuss the Constitution and the law, and so they can get a feel for what she would be like as a justice going into the confirmation hearings. No, there hasn't been any announcement of when a confirmation hearing might be, but I know that some of the Senate Democrats, Senator Schumer, Senator Dick Durbin, have said that they'd like to try and move things along and possibly have a confirmation vote in mid to late April or early May.
Well, we look forward to having you on to discuss that when it happens. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
Ed Whalen, a senior fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center, also joins us to weigh in on the SCOTUS nominee. Ed, great to have you here. This has been a season of great change for the court in the last couple of years with some controversial proceedings and confirmation hearings. But Judge Jackson has been confirmed with bipartisan support 3 times. How likely is that to happen again?
Well, look, she received 3 votes, I think, for her D.C. Circuit nomination. She might receive 3 votes this time. This is not a bipartisan nomination or one likely to appeal to Republicans. That said, I don't think this is going to be a highly contentious process. Democrats have the majority. Republicans will respectfully engage Judge Jackson, and I think we'll have grounds to oppose her on the basis of her judicial philosophy. In all likelihood, she'll be confirmed probably sometime in April.
Let's talk about that judicial philosophy. Her record, how is she similar or different from Justice Breyer?
Well, look, it's difficult when someone has been a district judge, as she has been for some 8 years, to try to find correspondence between her views and Justice Breyer's. She was a law clerk for Justice Breyer. There's every indication that in judicial ideology, she's a run-of-the-mill progressive. So I doubt that she'll differ very much. But as with any justice, there are just a lot of tea leaves to guess at. I trust that the Biden White House did their job. She was a favorite of the progressive groups in D.C., so there's every reason to think that she will be a progressive justice.
And what about the current docket and petitions? Religious freedom is a banner issue, one that has come up over and over again in the past couple of terms. With another free speech case taken by the court just this week, what can we expect from Judge Jackson on that issue?
Well, that's a good question. It's an interesting matter. She actually served on the school board of a Christian school that proclaimed orthodox moral beliefs on marriage, sexuality, abortion. She said at her D.C. Circuit hearing that she really distanced herself from all of that. But she may have she may not be hostile to religious belief in the way that some others on the left are. That said, her vote is unlikely to be decisive in any of these cases.
And Justice Breyer did cross the aisle many times to vote in 9-0 cases in favor of religious freedom. So hopefully that'll be something that we can pray for. Thank you so much, Ed.
Thank you.